On this episode, this live episode, if you haven't noticed already, and I noticed, I don't know if you heard before, but we're going to try to do this one more time. So we're going to have some thoughts on Cam Newton and talk a little bit about what happened in Las Vegas with this whole call for gun control a little bit. And we're going to play our interview with Katie Yoder with the Media Research Center. All that on this episode of Trend Chat. Welcome to another episode of Trend Chat. This is definitely live. I've already had a couple of glitches. But hey, as I said before, y'all just going along on the ride with me as I still try to figure out these little glitches sometimes. I don't know if anyone heard the first part of that when I'm sitting here talking and I forgot I don't even have my headphones in. And I'm just talking away. I forgot, I need my headphones in. Then I had to start over again. Anyway, it was funny to me. Hey, it's not like I have a team here doing this. So I'm just learning on the fly right here. So anyway, appreciate y'all listening. And if you want to connect with us on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, it's all the same name, Trend Chat 24/7. And if you want to read some of my articles on politichicks.com, just go to politichicks.com/author/Brian Bledsoe. And don't forget about the book, Politichicks, A Clarion Call to Political Activism, which is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, which contains over 300 pages from contributors like myself talking about healthcare, education, just general political issues, social issues. And the article that I contribute to the book is in the section called Activism, where I talked about my time as a delegate at the National Republican Convention last year. So, actually, this morning when I was thinking about what I'm going to talk about, because I knew I was going to do another program because I wanted to make sure I got the interview with Katie on tonight, and you'll understand why when you hear the interview. And I was wondering what I'm going to talk about. I kind of had a somewhat of an idea, but I was kind of like I kind of feel like I didn't have a lot to go on. But then I heard the news about Cam Newton, and I like, thank you, Cam. You gave me something to talk about, more than what I was already thinking of going on. And when I saw that, I'm like, okay, now I know what I'm going to talk about. So, but it's not about what you maybe have heard today, because the news I've been hearing about Cam Newton is about he lost a sponsorship from Dan Yogurt because he supposedly said some disparaging or sexist remarks to a female reporter who was asking him a question about, about routes, about plays, because if you don't know, Cam Newton is a quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, and during a press conference, a female reporter asked him about wide receiver routes, so about plays and how they're done and whatnot. So, and because I don't know, to me it sounded like he was I guess not so much. I guess he was kind of amused that this female reporter was talking about, I guess, components of football, how to play or whatever, which I didn't take from it the way it seems like everyone else took from it. But apparently everyone took his answer and how he answered it as sexist. And it just blew up. And like I said, I didn't get that from watching that clip. But the one thing, when I heard about all this, it made me think about some comments he made a couple of days ago that I felt like should have got a whole lot more coverage than anything he said that people want to deem as not racist, sexist. And because he made some comments a couple of days ago saying that he basically said that Colin Kaepernick paid the ultimate sacrifice for what he did as far as the national anthem protest. Now, I felt like that right there was a comment that should have been plastered all over the media, because I can't see how he would have the nerve to even to say something like that, like the ultimate sacrifice. I mean, like, really? Why? What ultimate sacrifice did Colin Kaepernick do? I mean, what? Because he decided to protest the national anthem, and now because of controversy that he started, he can't get a job, he can't get on a team because it's not worth, having him on the team with this controversy, as along with the fact that his skills are mediocre now. So at best, he would be a backup. So what's the point of bringing in a backup that not even going to get on the field, can't do anything really for you, and also going to bring all this controversy to your team? And because of all that, that's supposed to come across as some sort of ultimate sacrifice? And so I'm just thinking about, like, if people thought the national anthem protests were disrespectful to the military, I feel like those comments by Cam Newton a couple of days ago was the ultimate disrespect. To say that someone like Colin Kaepernick, it deserved to be, I guess, labeled, or at least to be said to have committed the ultimate sacrifice. For one, he's not dead. No one shot him or anything like that. So, I mean, he just lost a multi-million-dollar job to play a game. That's what he lost. He lost the chance to play for some football team, and like I said, to play a game. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah, you're really sacrificing there, Colin. And like I said, for Cam to make those statements, that's why I feel like it should have got a whole lot more coverage than anything that he said, about this female reporter. But that's basically what I wanted to bring up on that. Those are my thoughts. I don't know if anyone, when they saw that on the headline, I was going to talk about Cam Newton, they were going to say, like, well, or try to defend whatever he said. I don't care about what he said that got all the news coverage today. I want to highlight the fact that he had other comments that should have been talked about a lot more than these supposed sexist comments. So, that being said, before we get to the next couple of topics, let's get to our friends with the Founding Project.
Hello, Trend Chat listeners. If you like the Founding Project's Civics Education video series, Civics for All Ages, and our educational meme series, we think you will love our new website. Join us at thefoundingproject.com and be a part of the civics movement. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit Please join us today.
Yeah, so we are still dealing with the aftermath of the shooting in Las Vegas. And as I mentioned before in a previous podcast, that the call for gun control from the liberals is at full force now. And we're having some other developments that are happening. So it's not really so much I'm going to get into everything that is surrounding the case and whatnot, but I'm just saying that's basically where we're at now. Democrats out here wanting to talk about gun control and basically just go down the path of, at the end of the day, just repealing the Second Amendment, because that's basically where they want to end up at. They want to start by calling it gun control, gun sense, or whatever nonsense they want to call it. But that, definitely taking advantage of any tragedy like this that has happened. And also I came across seeing that the NRA has, I guess, got into this, into the story a little bit. Not only because progressives were just calling them out and having other, celebrities calling them a terrorist organization, all that. That's not what I'm talking about. Is that so? One thing about the shooting that they found out is that the shooter used what they call a bump stock. Now, if you listen to some of the podcast at the NRA convention, you know very well that I am a novice when it comes to firearms. So I'm just going to mention that, and if you know what it is, you know what it is. But basically, it's a accessory that can make a firearm similar to a automatic rifle. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And now you have the NRA has said that there should be a quote unquote, I guess, a federal review to see if bump stocks are actually legal. Do they hold up to the letter of the law? So by them saying that, it make it seem like they are, I guess, supporting of banning bump stocks. And for me, I think that's a mistake. I think you just should stay out of it, really. Just leave it alone, because this is as a organization that is supposed to be standing up for the Second Amendment. I don't think it's a good idea to get into this. I guess you could say a controversy, as far as, well, it will be for them. I'm already seeing people talking about canceling their NRA membership just for this particular statement. And I don't think it was a good idea for the NRA to even make this statement. Really just feel like they just should have just not commented on this and basically just defend anything that comes around that would be deemed as trying to infringe on the Second Amendment. Like, that's when I feel like they ought to just, step out then. But that's their organization. That's, and I don't know how many of their members are going to make their feelings known to them about this, I guess, this statement that has come out. So I guess we'll have to see from there. It's going to be interesting next year, given that I'm in Dallas and the NRA convention will be in Dallas next year. And I don't know how many people are going to remember that by now, by that time or not. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure some are going to be there as far as and still have this in the back of their mind. Probably, I don't know. I guess we'll see when it comes to that time. I think it's in May of next year. So yeah, so that's all I got on that, because the whole investigation is ongoing right now, and there's no point of really talking too much about the shooter and all that, because we're still trying to get more information, honestly, and basically just a whole bunch of speculation at this point. So now, one thing I also want to bring up too, totally different subject, but I don't know if some of you realize that it's been about a month since Hurricane Harvey hit, and in Southwest Texas, Houston and all the surrounding areas, and not only Hurricane Harvey, but you've had Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Maria, and the thing about it, when these hurricanes hit and the week afterwards, everyone definitely was paying attention to the recovery efforts and everything. And like the news cycle as it goes, you kind of move on to the next thing. But hurricane recovery efforts are not solved in a week, 2 weeks. I mean, we're talking years. And if we're talking years, that means at least a month of time has passed. There's a lot that needs to be done. And I'm bringing this up because, especially here in Texas, and talking about Hurricane Harvey, like, I'm talking to people who are still in need down in Houston. And the month has passed, but everyone kind of has moved on as far as the news coverage, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the volunteer efforts is probably have tamped down a lot because people are not really mindful of the still continue needed help down there. But I just want to bring it up to whoever's listening, and I mean, I know a lot of things are going on. We have the tragedy in Las Vegas and everything that's happened, but at the same time, I would just want to say that still, don't forget, you have people in Texas, in Florida, Puerto Rico now, that are still in need. And I know from the interview a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Hurricane Harvey recovery efforts, that where it'll be a good thing right now if someone wants to go help now. Even though most people are not really paying as much attention, especially nationally, but this will be a good time to go and help out, because a lot of it probably has probably decreased a lot. And I'm pretty sure whatever you can do to help would be appreciated. So that was I just wanted to, I guess, highlight that, and wanted people to really to not forget about the people who are in need in these areas. So, and now we got one more thing I want to bring up before we get to our interview with Katie. But before we get there, we're going to have another word from our friends at the Founding Project.
Hello, Trend Chat fans. The Founding Project invites you to experience our latest resource to take civics to citizens, TFP's new website. Visit us at www.thefoundingproject.com. Be a part of the civics movement with the Founding Project. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Join us today.
Like I said, we'll play our interview with Katie Yoder in just a second, but I want to bring up some good news. And I found out a couple of days ago that I was invited to speak somewhere. And okay, I didn't do all that, but but yeah, it is. I am flattered that someone actually wants me to come and speak at their event, but I was invited, and I did want to give some details about it. So I will be speaking at the Republican Women of Arlington fundraiser on October 20th. Now, it shouldn't come as no surprise as why that event in particular, because the Politichicks will be there as well. So I can't think of a better time to have my first speaking engagement with the Politichicks in attendance. So I definitely thank Ann Coker for inviting me. And yep, I am actually writing the speech piece by piece now, actually, and just kind of wondering what I'm going to say. I don't even know how much time I have, but either way, I am putting it together, and yeah, I'm pretty excited to have whatever time I have to speak, and hopefully I can get a chance to get it recorded, and I will play it here on Trend Chat. Hopefully. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm definitely learning about everything, and even trying to do a live episode right now, messing up some things here and there. So I'm still gonna have to learn how to record myself. I already have a mic, like not the mic that I'm using here, but also I have like a little mic where you clip on. I bought one of those. I really don't know why I bought it, but now I need it. So I'm glad I did buy it at that time. So I'm going to try to use that thing to record through my phone. I don't know. I got to figure some things out. Hopefully I'll just get there early enough, and maybe the sound people can help me out. And I would like to get it recorded so I can play it on here. And maybe we'll probably do some streaming as well. And I don't know, on my phone or something, or someone else maybe will stream it on Facebook. So, but I guess more details on that will come up in the next week or two. So I just want to share that good news. And again, I'm, grateful for the Republican Women of Arlington to have me speak for, like I said, for however long it is. But I'm grateful nevertheless, and I can't wait to do it. I'm really excited to actually get up on, get up on a podium and speak. I guess it's not something I've done, as opposed to just maybe making announcements or just, announcing that I'm running for national delegate. But that was really quick. I didn't even get a chance to speak when I became a national delegate, which was funny. I was supposed to, but I somewhat messed it up to the point to where I only had like a couple of seconds to say, please vote for me, and that was it. So I can't really count that as a speech either. So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to mention that. And now we'll get to our interview with Katie, but before that, let's have one last word from the Founding Project.
Hello, Trend Chat fans. The Founding Project invites you to experience our latest resource to take civics to citizens, TFP's new website. Visit us at www.thefoundingproject.com. Be a part of the civics movement with the Founding Project. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Join us today.
So I was on Twitter and I came across this Twitter feed called MRC Culture, and I already liked, Media Research Center, but I just saw this one in their Twitter feed, and I noticed someone who was posting on that feed, and I started reading some of her articles, and so from then, I just kept following because I like the MRC culture in particular, because I do like to talk about entertainment and culture, and so a lot of times when I maybe will talk about some of these stories, a lot of times it comes from there, in one way or another. So we got a chance to speak with Katie Yoder, who is the associate cultural editor at the Media Research Center, and we got the chance to speak with her for a couple of minutes, also to talk about her being a nominee on Red Alert Politics 30 Under 30. So we talked about all of that, and so without any further ado, here's our interview with Katie. Hello, this is Trend Chat, and we are pleased to have Katie Yoder with us. She is a associate cultural editor at the Media Research Center and also a Joe and Betty Underlink Fellow at the Media Research Center. How you doing, Katie?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I guess my first question is, give us a little bit on your background and how did you get to Media Research Center, a place that I'm a fan of, and actually that's where I came across some of your work on MRC Culture, which is, I guess, a department of Media Research Center.
Sure. Well, thank you for asking. So after college, I decided I wanted to try to figure out if I wanted a career in politics. So I actually interned at the Heritage Foundation, and they placed me in their communications department. And then from there, I'd always had a love of writing. So I loved writing about politics. I realized that there. So afterwards, I started an internship at the Media Research Center, which was focusing on media and writing, and also politics. So I really enjoyed that. I began in their TV department, and then I transitioned into their culture department. So I do a lot of work on cultural and social issues there, reporting on issues that the media are not reporting on correctly, and also reporting on events and rallies going on in D.C. that in this general area that we think the media should be covering, but they aren't.
Okay. I noticed from your articles that you kind of focus on the life issue. I've noticed on some of your articles talking about Planned Parenthood and just as far as all the lies that they tell us as well, and also working with in a way with March for Life. So is that your primary focus with MRC?
Yes, absolutely. Abortion, pro-life issues are my main beats. I also write on religious persecution, especially of Christians in the Middle East, and feminism and how the media covered that, and family and marriage. But abortion, Planned Parenthood are definitely my main beat, and have been since I began there by covering the March for Life, and then other horrific issues like the Philadelphia abortionist Kermit Gosnell. So yeah, that's where my passion lies, in writing on those issues.
Now, in talking about feminism, once you mentioned that, the first thing kind of comes to my mind is this phenomenon as the Women's March that's been kind of going on this past year. So I guess I just want to ask what your opinions on them.
Oh, wow. Earlier this year, I actually compared how much time the broadcast network spent on the Women's March versus the March for Life. It turned out that the networks, ABC, NBC, and CBS, spent 129 times more on the Women's March this year than they did on the March for Life last year, which is a huge discrepancy by the media. But as to my more personal thoughts on the Women's March, I was very deeply disappointed that the Women's March would not allow pro-life women to participate, pro-life groups to participate. I know they originally they did this a couple of times. They placed pro-life groups who applied to be a part of the Women's March on their website, and then they later removed them. So they basically excluded pro-life women, and I know pro-life women went there anyways. The group Pro-Life Feminists went, but they weren't welcomed there, and that was very saddening because this march was claiming to stand for and represent all women, and it just wasn't doing that.
Yeah, it's basically just they kind of just didn't want to, I guess, have anything to do with people who are pro-life. But for some odd reason, I don't know, I'm guessing because it just didn't fit into their liberal ideology or whatnot. That's just my guess. But
Right, yeah, it's excluding women because they have different opinions, whereas women should be really supporting other women, even if they have differing opinions. It just goes against the whole what feminism claims to stand for, which is all women, but it really doesn't. It just ends up standing for women that agree with them. So that's saddening to see that. And also, they talk about diversity and tolerance. Many liberals do, and feminists. And yet when it comes to accepting women who disagree with them, especially pro-life women, as in this situation, you just don't see that happening.
Yeah. Well, I guess one thing that's been on everyone's mind is the tragedy out in Las Vegas. And I saw that you wrote a couple articles on that as far as someone who basically turned to God afterwards. I guess he was an agnostic, and then after those events, they became a full-fledged Christian. And I think you had another article as well. I guess if you want to talk on those.
Sure. Let's see. The first one that you mentioned, that was 21-year-old Taylor Bench. He was at the Las Vegas country music concert Sunday night with his sister. And yeah, you're correct. He says he went to the concert as an agnostic, but he said that afterwards he came out as a firm believer in God after experiencing that. And he basically, he's on CNN, and he says, quote, I know I can't speak for everyone, but I was agnostic going into the concert, and I'm a firm believer in God now because there's no way that all that happened and I made it, and I was blessed enough to still be here alive talking to you today, end quote. So he's basically transformed after this horrific event, and it just goes to show that, there can be some good that comes out of this tragic event. And it caused some people to turn to God, other people to help each other. And I think that's what makes America so great, is that when we're faced with tragedy, we pull together and try to help each other out, regardless of our differences. And the other story I wrote about was a woman who was Gail Davis, and she was on CBS This Morning yesterday. And she basically said she was at the concert with her husband, and she owed her life to a police officer who acted as her guardian angel. And she said she was there with her husband. They thought that they were just hearing firecrackers, but then she said her husband realized it wasn't just firecrackers, and they started running. She said a woman standing right next to her was shot down, fell down, collapsed. And she said as they were running toward the concession stand, a police officer grabbed her and her husband and told them to get out of the line of fire. And when the shooting would stop, the police officer would go out and look around with his gun and try to figure out what was happening and try to stop it. But then every time the shooting started again, he would rush back and cover up this woman so that she would be protected from any shots that might come nearby. So it was really, really brave and courageous, and amazing to hear that story. Just exemplifying how people came together and tried to help each other throughout this tragedy.
Yeah, and with stories like that, definitely are very encouraging to hear. But unfortunately, on the other side, you also have people who have no problem in politicizing this tragedy, which something that I mentioned as soon as it happened that the next morning is that unfortunately, despite our best hopes, a tragedy like this is going to get politicized, whether we like it or not. So it's just best that we pray for the families and everyone that's been affected, but also be vigilant and also be prepared to get ready for these calls for gun control and any other, liberal policy whenever some tragedy hits.
That's right. We need to keep these victims and their families in our prayers, and everyone who survived that, because it's been tough for everyone who was there, who witnessed that, and my heart goes out to them. And it's just so saddening to see that, especially celebrities and late night comedians have already started to politicize this, to call for gun control, instead of taking a moment, even just a moment of silence to remember the victims and what happened Sunday evening. I know a lot of celebrities, some of them have taken to attacking the NRA. I know Michael Ian Bach, for example, who tweeted out that the NRA is a terrorist organization. And actress Alyssa Milano, she tweeted out sensible gun control now. So those are the kinds of tweets that Hollywood's putting out there. But yeah, it's just sad that the first reaction for several people in Hollywood and entertainment is to turn this into a political push versus taking time to mourn what happened.
And that's a good thing to have, like MRC culture. When you have these celebrities out here, going out here making all these statements and so ready to politicize a tragedy. So it's great to have like a department like MRC culture out there to basically to kind of shine a light on these celebrities out here just trying to advocate for whatever progressive, liberal, communist, or whatever policies that they're trying to advocate for. And I just appreciate what y'all doing, exposing that.
Sure. Well, thank you for highlighting what we're doing. It's hard to keep track of everything that's going on, but we certainly try to do our best.
Now, I guess to kind of lighten it up a little bit, one thing that I noticed that you were nominated for Red Alert Politics 30 Under 30, which, if anyone doesn't know, Red Alert Politics, they do this list of 30 people under 30 years old. Basically, it's kind of self-explanatory. And you were nominated. I guess voting ends on October 6th. And I just want to ask you, one, when did you know you were nominated, and how do you feel as far as being nominated for this list?
Sure. Well, I'm very, very honored to have been nominated on this list. There's so many amazing, wonderful people on it along with me. So I'm honored to be with these other great conservative millennials on this list and to be nominated. I found out before the list was publicized, Karen Agnes, actually from Network of Enlightened Women, mentioned that she was interested in nominating me. So I had a heads up, and it was so very kind of her to think of nominating me. And that's how I originally found out. And then I wasn't sure that it would actually happen, but then Red Alert Politics put up their list, and they did include me. So I'm very thankful and honored and flattered to be placed on it.
Yeah, and it's not really surprising to me to see you on there because I followed your articles on MRC culture, and and definitely I think it's well deserved. And well, also, I guess tell everyone how, if they want to vote for you, how to do that.
Sure. Well, if you go to redalertpolitics.com, you can find the list, or if you just Google Red Alert Politics 30 under 30 for 2017, you can go on their website and you just click on the person you want to vote for. You can vote for up to 10 different people, and you click vote. So it's fairly simple, and I believe the winners, because it ends October 6th, I believe the winners will be announced on that day, although I'm not sure. I know the voting will choose the top 10, and Red Alert Politics will choose the remaining 20. So the top 10, the people with the most votes, the top 10 of those, they're definitely going to make the list, and the rest of the 20, the rest of the 30, which will be the other 20, will be chosen by Red Alert.
Okay. Now, given that you can't vote 10 times, if someone's listening right now and they just really like you, could they just vote for you 10 times?
Yes, they can. If you press the vote button, it'll say voted, but if you continue pressing the voted button, it'll continue voting for that person. So yes, you can vote for someone up to 10 times.
Okay. I just want to put that out there just in case someone listens. I'm like, well, hey, I'm going to vote for Katie, So,
thank you.
So where can everyone catch you on social media?
Sure. Everyone can please follow me on Twitter. My handle is @K_Yoder, or YODER. And you can also follow my work on newsbusters.org.
Katie, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for all what you're doing with MRC Culture, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again soon.
I would love that. Thanks for talking with me.
Yep, and thanks to Katie for joining us. And once again, if it's redalertpolitics.com, and go to the poll. And like you said, there are a lot of great people on this list to vote for, and it's like the deadline is October 6th, which is tomorrow. So if you're listening now, it's October 5th. And so if you want to vote, go on there and check everyone out, and vote for Katie. I voted for her, and as well as others as well. It's funny, a lot of people on that list, a lot of them I actually either friends with on social media or just know them personally. So hopefully get some of them on Trend Chat in the future. So thanks everyone for listening. Actually, I was going to say what we'll have on next week, but we're running out of time. So I guess I have to post that later on. So again, appreciate everyone listening in. And if you like it, share it, tell your friends. And until next week, we'll chat with you later.